So let's take a listen to this piece of music and follow along in the chart. This first time through, if you get lost and you're here in the room, I want you to raise your hand or something and I'll try to cue you back in verbally. If that still doesn't do it, I'm happy to stop the recording and explain and then go back, because I'd rather you stay on it. Okay? I'll be hollering measure numbers. I'll be hollering section titles like pre-chorus and chorus. I'll also mention like some chords. C sharp minor, D. Okay? Alyssa has a question.
Yeah, for the parts where it has the 2 chords, so for example, on the top of, what is this, the second page?
Yes?
It has a F sharp minor. Is that an F sharp minor over A, right?
Yes, so
that's not when you like go back and repeat it, you're playing different chords. I just want
correct. It's an F sharp minor with an A in the bass.
Okay.
So the guitar players would change their voicing. The bass player would play an A as opposed to an F sharp, even though it's an F sharp minor chord. For bonus points, if you want to jot this down, an F sharp minor over A is equivalent to an A6 chord, but that'll come a little later. So let's listen to Leonard's song, and I'm going to hit record over here on I Show You, and hopefully it'll all come out. And here's from Leonard Jones's album Perspective, Welcome to My World. A, B, E. So we're repeating until vocal starts. He just started singing, so we're bar 5, bar 7, chord 5. Now we're going to go on here, C sharp minor. Measure 13. Follow along, put your finger on it, we're repeating. Measure 13, finger if you need to.
It's to satisfy
D over A. First time at the pre-chorus.
I will
G.
into my world. I want to make it
First ending repeats back to 19. Second time.
I will come into my world. I want to make it
Second ending. Chorus now. G, A, B minor. B, A, C, D. Second ending, go to the top. Second ending, D, C. So we just went back to the beginning. We're repeating the intro again until the vocal comes in. Now we're moving on to the verse. Measure 5.
the only God that breathes. You can't be made.
So we just repeated those 4 bars. Now we're going on the C sharp
Where you
minor.
clothe yourself with flesh and bone, and all I want to do is
Repeat back
worship,
to 13.
and all I want is to satisfy your love.
And now we're at the third time at the pre-chorus. Third time at 19.
I welcome you into my world. I want to make it
Third ending repeats back to 19. G, third ending.
Lord.
Now we're fourth
I
time.
welcome you into my world. I want to make it heaven for you, Lord. I will go where you go. I will stay where you stay.
Second time.
I will do what you do. I will say what you say. No, I'm one now with you.
Now moving on
And
to
I
the next line.
want
Bar
you
13.
today. Welcome to my world. Come into my
D, C
world.
goes back to the top. Now we're back in the intro. Here's A, B, E.
You're the only God that sees. All the others are just deities.
Now going on C
They
sharp
are
minor.
deaf and dumb and blind and mute, and not one of them compares
And
with
then
you.
13 gets repeated.
And all I want to do is worship, and all I want is to satisfy your love. I welcome you into my world. I want to make it heaven for you, Lord. I welcome you into my world. I want to make it heaven for you.
650 Dakota. This went to Dakota. F sharp, measure 46. B minor, A, D. F sharp, sus. Repeat back to stroke 2, measure 46 again. G, B minor, A, D. F sharp, sus. Keep repeating.
Let your kingdom come here. Let your will be done here. On the earth as it is in heaven. Yeah, yeah,
Let me repeat it again.
Let your kingdom come here.
Remember, he's going to give
Let your
somebody a
will be
cue.
done here.
Your band will be
On
outside.
the earth as it is in heaven.
Still going. I remember in the studio, he specifically told the drummer to kick off at this point. He's definitely taking off. I think it's the last time. F sharp sus. Big band down now. 54. Oh, sorry, one more
Let your
time.
kingdom come here.
Haven't listened to it
Let
in a
your
while.
will be done here. On the earth as it is in heaven.
F sharp.
Lord, I welcome
Now we're at G. G,
into
B
my
minor, A.
world. I want to make it heaven for you.
And he ends on the G chord. Now, other than when we're listening here live, it is all going in and out of tune. That was just really difficult to deal with, but I'm sure we all were able to stumble through. Here's the upside: is your emails will receive the MP3s with them, so you can listen to them in their pristine glory on your devices for listening to music as you go and trace it out. Now, I'm really excited that nobody seemed like they were lost, or you guys were too scared to say I got lost. Did everybody kind of catch it in terms of the map?
I was pretty much on it, except I stumbled on Dakota, but you shouted it out.
And then caught it, yeah? Okay.
It was the only thing I got.
No, you got more than that, Gary. You totally got more than that. Okay, so this is an example. Like if you wrote a song like this that has some different sections, that has some different beats and some different things to it, this is not necessarily better than a simple song. Simple's beautiful. Simple's wonderful. But if all we settle for is simple, I think we're going to end up not hitting the fullness of what God's called us to do. Everybody's going to express this in a different way. But Leonard's got some musical ideas that if he just did lyrics and chords on top, it would take forever for somebody to learn all of that. But if you are reading the rhythms and you're reading the slash notation and so forth, you'll be able to learn the song way faster and communicate some of these deeper ideas. I urge you to take the MP3 at home and consider even trying to play it on whatever your instrument is, even on multiple instruments. It'd be a great challenge for you to try to figure it out. You got the rhythm chart, you do a little bit of Googling and you'll find the lyrics. By the way, Leonard Jones is one of the best lyricists in Christian music, in my opinion. He's a very underrated lyricist and will inspire you worship songs that are awesome. Is there any questions before we go on? Yes, sir.
2 questions.
Yes.
On the final bar, what's that after the G? Is that A little squiggly?
He said on the final bar, what's after the G is a little squiggly. Ah, good question, because I hadn't gone through that.
I thought it was my mustache.
I'm wondering if I should have included this. There's a few little small things that's kind of like, eh. Okay. The squiggly that you're seeing looks like this, okay? And in many cases, people they used to call it the bird's eye. That's the old fancy name for it. But not the old fancy, that's the old fun way. They call it the bird's eye. But the original Latin name is fermata. Fermata. And what that means is take whatever note is underneath the fermata and just hold it. Tempo stops, time stops, groove stops, and you just hold that note forever. Okay? Or you hold it now, if you think back, if you're in an orchestra, let's say, and you've got a piece of music and you want to just hold a chord for a while, they would have a fermata over that chord, but then the director or the conductor would say, okay, stop. And then he would indicate for you to go on to the next part if there was more to the song. So he'd cue you to go on. But that means time is going to stop, groove is going to stop, and you're just going to hold for an indeterminate period of time. If there's no conductor, then of course the musician decides how long to actually hold it. If it's a group, a conductor's going to give everybody the cutoff at the same time. Okay? So it's called a fermata. It just means hold. Now, it's interesting. I just kind of put it there as a courtesy because every time Leonard plays this, he always ends it by himself. So it's more of a courtesy to the musician because Leonard's the only one that's going to be playing there and he'll hold it. And that was kind of my OCD wanting it to be perfect. Actually, I think somebody said, well, why did you put those last two lines on there? Just say, repeat until cue and then stop suddenly whenever he stops and why write out the rest of it? I'm like, well, maybe somebody else wants to play it. And there's the chart for them. That's just how I think.
Second thing is more kind of like a comment.
Mm-hmm.
So
Second comment from
the
Grant.
way that, because there is no actual notes in it, it's just kind of like a backbone. So it kind of leaves, as a band altogether, leaves everyone to play artistically within the blueprint.
Can you just say that one more time? I'm going to give Grant my microphone. Just say that. Just hold it and say it.
So basically what we're looking at is, because there's no notes, it kind of leaves a backbone or a blueprint of whatever, like, kind of like a roadmap, but also leaves it to where everyone can play artistically.
Exactly. So, exactly. And so now it's more of a creative, artistic approach as opposed to playing every single note. That's exactly the point. Yay! Thank you for bringing that up.